Greetings sailors and welcome back to World of Warships, and today I'm going to take a look at this thing, the Schill, which I don't think there's any way to get at the moment outside of like event boxes that contain it as a drop, but hopefully it becomes available in some other way in future, because it is kind of an interesting ship. And if you're a fan of the Graf Spee, then this is, I mean, it's basically a bigger Graf Spee. That's what it was in real life. The concept for the P class was basically, let's take it and make it even bigger for an even bigger, heavier surface raider. Now, we already have some of the Plan Z ships in game, or at least ships that are kind of analogous to elements of the Plan Z designs, including the is it the O class? We have the tier 9s anyway, the Siegfried and Aegea. I think Siegfried's the more close analog to an O class. Although, having said that, was the O class, did it have different turrets? I can't remember. But yeah, basically there was this, the potted history. I'm sure there's a Drac video out there, almost certainly. The potted history was that in the late 30s, I mean, Hitler basically wanted a big surface fleet to at least contend with the Royal Navy, because of course he did. And, you know, this included things like the H-class battleships and whatnot, and aircraft carriers, and a whole bunch of these heavy surface raiders and other heavy cruisers and whatnot. And the Kriegsmarine was like, okay, we can do that, but it's going to take us a while. So the plan was, I think, that it was going to be sort of like 10, 11 years for a building program. And then in 1939 some other things happened which kind of knocked that on the head. It turned out they didn't in fact have a nice peaceful 10 years to build up the fleet, because other things happened. And so yeah, this wasn't ever actually built, but you know, this is World of Warships, and so we get to have these things even though they didn't actually exist. But, you know, this is one of the more historical, never-built designs, as opposed to some of the other things we have in-game. So it's definitely of interest to me, because I've got a soft spot for the Graf Spee, and having a bigger brother of the Graf Spee at tier 8 is, yeah, it's quite nice. Although it's not the most effective ship, it does suffer some of the same drawbacks as the Graf Spee. So in comparison, I mean, it's essentially the same guns. And okay, there's my neighbour hammering again. Hopefully that's not being picked up in the microphone too much. It's essentially the same guns, although the AP shells are marginally improved. I think it's got slightly better Sigma as well, but it's still the same 20-second reload, I believe. The range is a bit better, and you can also fit a spotter plane on it to give you a bit of a boost. The range isn't that great for tier 8, 17.3. It's not awful, though. There are certainly worse. But considering that you do have a 20-second reload, yeah, a slightly longer range might be nicer. Otherwise, a lot of it is also sort of fairly similar to the Graf Spee as well. It's got the exact same torpedoes. It's also got a decent secondary battery for a cruiser, and it being a German cruiser, you can get it out to a good range, but the accuracy just isn't there, so it's not worth going in to the spec for that. It also has some of the drawbacks as the large cruisers do, in terms of like fire burn time, but of course, it being a cruiser, you can't really build for survivability in the same way, so the very best you can do is just the standard equipment, as you can see there. So yeah, it's essentially somewhere between a heavy cruiser and one of the large cruisers like Alaska, or I suppose at tier 8 Congress would be the American equivalent. It does have decent armor at least, and a heel, but the heel isn't particularly strong, so you kind of want to avoid taking lots of damage. But probably the best feature is this 30mm icebreaker bow, and the fore and aft are 27 which is not bad. So yeah, I mean the belt is nothing that special. It's still decent for a cruiser though, 120mm, and although it does have turtle back, it's not especially effective turtle back. So it's kind of a second line heavy cruiser essentially. If you can blap other cruisers broadside with the AP, then as with the Graf Spee, you can do very well, and sometimes even if you get broadside battleships. But because it's essentially the same guns as the Graf Spee, it's less effective at that role, I think, than at tier 6, just with the improvement of the armour from tier to tier. You're less likely to be getting citadels against battleships with this thing. So pretty decent matchmaking. There are some tier 9s, and there are CVs. You do have the option of both a defensive and a fighter for those slots, but I don't know if it's really worth going for that, to be honest. Yeah, there's the other, actually, gimmick, I guess, they've given it. The little boost it gets to its firepower is that it has the main battery reload booster, which obviously Graf Spee doesn't. So occasionally, especially if you're in close and you've got the opportunity to pump AP shells into somebody's broadside, that can be very, very useful. But it's not... It doesn't have as wide a utility, I think, as it does on some of the heavy cruisers or even the light cruisers that get them. Well, it tends to be the heavy cruisers, doesn't it? I'm trying to think, are there any light cruisers that have it? There probably are, but they're probably light cruisers that don't have a good base reload. So, yeah, sometimes the light cruisers, especially the French ones, it can be a more useful tool in a wider variety of situations, whereas this you maybe want to hold off using it until you really have a sort of surefire dead shot into somebody's broadside. So we've got the Sanzang, which is basically it's a Saipan, isn't it? Yes, it's the Saipan. Oh, it actually says there, ship replica Saipan. Just in case you can't remember, like me, except I did remember, so I don't know why I'm I don't know why I'm denigrating my own memory there, when for a change I did actually remember. I don't know. The spirit of Caption Guy lives on somehow in my brain, which obviously, you know, is not where Caption Guy came from originally. No, Caption Guy was definitely an entire separate real person, entirely real. Yes. Anyway, I'm waffling a little, perhaps, but it's that sort of a day. A lot of days are that sort of day recently. So, that's actually the enemy CV spotted relatively early, which is a little unusual. Normally they go and park themselves behind that island, which I guess is what they're trying to do. Nobody else is really spotted at the moment. I really hope that... I mean, it's not the connecting wall that my neighbour is bashing on. So hopefully it's really not very audible in the microphone, if it's audible at all. But it's audible to me, and oh boy, is it somewhat annoying. Right, you're actually possibly in the turn there a bit. So I'll maybe try using a reload booster here. Chumphon is fairly squishy. These might just overpen actually on something like a Chumphon. Yeah. It does, like I say, it does have slightly improved accuracy, slightly improved Sigma over the Graf Spee, and the AP shells are like the HE is exactly dead the same, but the AP shells get slightly improved, slightly improved crop value. I think they have slightly more weight, so they retain their pen values a bit better over range, and so therefore you've got slightly better chance of penning. I don't know if they have a better... I don't think they have any kind of better penetration angles though, or anything like that. It's not like the improved AP that you get on some heavy cruisers. So yeah, I mean, against angled things, like, even though that's a synop, if I had the broadside, that'd be fine. But when they're angled like that, oh, actually, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, you don't have a lot of overmatch with these 11-inch guns. It's only something like 19mm that they'll overmatch. So it's not superb. I mean, you are definitely like, even though you've got decent armor, you don't really want to treat yourself like you're a heavily armored tanky cruiser for the tier, because you kind of are, but you kind of are not at the same time. Like I said, the heal just isn't really there, and you only get 2 base charges. So it's not a strong heal by any means. And it's definitely much less of a unique feature than the heal on the Grafspee at tier 6. And of course, this thing is facing generally chunkier guns than the Grafspee is. Right, so there's a Chengmu somewhere. Do we want to pop a Hydra? Just to be on the safe side? Also maybe a spotter. I might switch to high explosive for that, North Carolina. Oh, there's the Sanzang. Actually in range with my spotter up, but I'm in a slightly awkward position now with the island. Okay, that Helena's getting a bit beat up. Still don't know where the Chengmu is, which is mildly concerning. They might be on the flank, they might be to the north. Radio location would be certainly a useful skill right now. Tell me where they are exactly. So that's a fire going, which I think is going to stick. This has gone down to the Minagumo. I really don't like not knowing where this Chengmu is. It makes manoeuvring very dicey. But I do at least have Hydro going. Yeah, it would be nice to get some aerial spotting, but I think the carrier is otherwise occupied.
Torpedoes off backboard.
Is that Chengmu smoke down there? If that's Chengmu smoke down there, then yeah, I think he might be going for the carrier. Yeah, this is a bit of a scrappy fight so far. Alright, let's not be broadside and spotted to that North Carolina. We'll stick with HE. It's not a particularly efficient fire setter. A 20-second reload. Yes, they are big shells. Yes, they are comparatively big shells, and yes, they do have the German HE pen. But yeah, it's the AP that you ideally want to be using. But against an angled North Carolina, that's probably not going to be particularly reliable or do anything super. Yeah, there we go. Yorktown really needs to find the Chengmu, because otherwise he's kind of boned. Don't know if my shells will get there in time, but we'll see. Right, so the Sanzang's gotten away. Yeah, that's the Chengmu. You're actually healing North Carolina. Right, let's see if we can help the CV. North Carolina's actually managed to live, which is not great. Trying to hit something like the Chengmu at this distance is going to be a little bit dicey. Oh, was that a double kill from the Minagumo? I don't know what that thing is like, but I don't particularly care to spend the money to find out, to be honest. It's the I think this came up in one of the previous videos, isn't it? It's like an Asashio. It's one of the Asashio destroyers. Right. This is looking not great. North Carolina's still alive. Minagumo is up there. Maybe I can get in towards the middle and get some fire on the Anhalt. Yeah, we'll try that. There's not a lot else I can do at the moment. My spotter's on cooldown, but the Anhalt is sailing into range very soon. We'll try taking a pop at them. I'm not super worried about their guns. I mean, they might get lucky, but yeah, you saw in that previous video how much of a shotgun that thing can be. Although, as predicted, there was inevitably a comment underneath from someone saying, I really like this ship, I do really well at this ship. I think I even said in the video, there's undoubtedly, you know, there's bound to be someone that really just likes the ship and gets on well with it. Because even the most niche, unenjoyable to most people ship will have a fan. It's just guaranteed to happen. And, you know, having said that, I have soft spots for ship like the Emerald, and I still have a fondness for the AMX-40, because of course I do. So, yeah. You know, if War Thunder ever introduced the duck, I know they have a duck, but it flies. It doesn't waddle along on the ground and look cute. If War Thunder ever did that, then you know, I would obviously have to install it on a more permanent basis. Right, this is a bit of a devil's turn here, but I don't want to go face first into a Bismarck. That's going to end very badly for me. And then expose myself broadside to the Anhalt as well. See if I've got any kind of... Oh, hello, Island. Hydro contact, if they're close enough for that. Are you coming out? Oh, just guesswork. Are you coming out this way or that way? I don't know. I could have gone through... This was an unnecessary beaching. But we'll see. I'm one of the last ships left anyway, so, you know, there's a sort of slightly limited amount that one can do at this point. It's not going to affect the outcome at all. Alright, let's get going. That's going to be the Minagumo. Anhalt was very much aware that, yes, I had torpedoes, so I have to avoid those. Yeah, shall we switch to... I've either got HE... I don't know, I might get just torpedoed by the Minagumo or blatted. Actually, I probably should stick with the HE, shouldn't I? Right, I'm probably just going to get torpedoed all to heck here, but what can one do?
Torpedoes are backbone.
Step on the brakes, let's use the reload booster. Let's see if we can at least get the Minagumo. Here we go. Oh, I just avoided that. Right. This is fine. This is fine. This is definitely winnable. I can certainly do this. We do have the torpedoes on this side. The angles are the same good angles that you get on the Grush Bay. Although the launches are sort of more conventionally amidships. Right, Bismarck. That'll be the Grosser. Ah, we ran out of time. I was hoping to give him a face full of torpedoes, but that would have been nice. A nice bit of extra bonus damage. Never mind. Ran out of points. I mean, we did what we could there. That that was... Yeah, it wasn't too bad to start with, but it sort of got away from us fairly quickly. We only ever really had control of this one cap. So even though we killed quite a lot of the enemy team, it really did accelerate away from us towards the end. Also, apparently our carrier was really not effective. Dear. Anyway, you did not do a lot of damage to end up so far down the list. Battle on! Let's see what we can do in another one. It's roughly similar matchmaking in terms of the tiering, but there's only one destroyer this time, which might actually be an issue because we've got a Le Terrible and they've got a Kigero. One of which is going to be far more suitable for capping than the other, especially with there being, yeah. Once again, with there being CVs in play. Is that even the same Sanzang? I don't know. I forget the name of the whoever it was. So, yeah, this time we are actually facing off against some heavier cruisers as well, Alaska and Brest. Yeah, we'll see how we do. Again, I'm going to be kind of a bit cagey. I don't know that I want to try my hand at capping here. The concealment is not terrible, but it's not great. It's sort of in battleship ranges, really. That used to be that, you know, there's only one or two battleships that would maybe be around that, but there's probably more than a couple now. Got a sort of sub 12 kilometers at tier 8. So yeah, let's see what we see, and hope that at least this time we have a more effective carrier versus the enemy carrier was I don't know, getting caught out like that with their manoeuvring was looking a bit dicey for them, but they did actually manage to survive and certainly did more damage wise than our carrier. Right, let's sort of try and use this bit of open water, I think. Do a bit of manoeuvring. Both destroyers are on that flank. It really does suck when you're in the position of that Le Terrible. You're in a smokeless destroyer and there's a CV in play, and you know you are the only destroyer for the team. I really think that should be a thing that doesn't happen. And yes, it would mean extra matchmaking rules, but especially if the CV is even slightly worth their salt, you know, they will, once they find you, they will just keep going for you. And there's not a lot you can do about it except run away. Especially in a domination game, you know, that's just conceding caps to the enemy. And there's so very little that you can do about it. You just end up relying on allies for AA cover. Right, what are you doing, Catalonia? Just disappearing, it looks like. Ricochet, that wasn't the best angle. You really do kind of need broadside, you just don't have the overmatch with these guns. Just the caliber is not there. Right, you're turning, so those are probably going to miss. Alright, I might switch to HE here. Oh, you did your burst fire, which I don't tend to do unless I'm very close range with the Spanish ships, because it leaves you just sitting around twiddling your thumbs for quite a long time, which I'm not a fan of in a cruiser. Right, there goes that Mainz. There's the De Grosse on the flank. Don't think they have anything else that's come over here. CV is now going for our Iwami. We have a cluster of 3 battleships there. We do sort of need this cap, really. Oh, okay. Well, that is a somewhat. That hipper is not great, but yeah, that skill firing off there was not especially useful in the scheme of things. Oh, and there's a battleship there as well, so that's not what I wanted to see. I was really hoping this would just be the Catalunya, and instead, no, he's got friends. I don't like that you've got friends. Where did your friends come from? Friends are not allowed. So this is why you might feel like, I mean, it's a Roma, okay, it might not be able to hit. Oh no, they did manage to hit me. But oh yeah, there we go. See the broadside. You get the broadside. Oh, it's nice. But I probably am not going to live too much longer here. Yeah, okay, so that's at its most effective, but I've lost most of my health in the process, and I've now only got 2 heals left. And I'm a bit stuffed. This was more ships than was advertised, and I'm not sure I'm okay with that. And now they've got the cap. Okay, yep, no, just a bit stuffed. There's not a lot I can do here. Is the Roma going to be worth using AP shells? No. We'll just see if we can get to torpedo range of the Roma. Oh, nice! That was actually a citadel. I was not expecting that. Now, I really hope I don't die to these Sanzang shells. Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, they definitely did not have the range. So we've got this big blob of battleships that they kind of need to move, or else things are not really going to happen. Yeah, so we've got to demonstrate the AP there, but yeah, that was because we didn't have the destroyers, because our CV was focused on the other side. I had no spotting. I had no way of knowing that instead of just 1 ship, it was 3 ships. So I'm kind of, yeah, I'm kind of blaming the matchmaking for that one. That was just sort of bad luck, really. Yeah. Oh well, these things happen. But I did manage to take down one of their cruisers, so at least it was an even trade. And we did get to see the reload booster being useful, but still, this was not a high damage game. So I don't know. We'll skip ahead and do another one, I think. And now we are very much in at the deep end. Look at all those tier 10s. 1 tier 8 per team, and I get to be the lucky person on our team. We also, again, only have 1 destroyer with CVs in play, which is just, that should not happen, but anyway. Yeah, not even just what I was saying about, you know, smokeless destroyers. I think just being the only destroyer in the game with CVs is like, should be disallowed in the matchmaking. I think it's unnecessarily painful if you happen to be that destroyer. It certainly, if I'm in that position, it makes me want to just go back to port very quickly. Not play, you know, badly on purpose that it happens, but you know, if it does happen, it's just more like a sigh of relief than anything else, because the intervening time when you're trying to do your best is just painful. It's not fun. It absolutely is not fun. So, yeah, I guess we're going to be... I mean, I was trying to be cautious last time, and I thought it was just going to be a one-on-one with another tier 8 cruiser, but it was not. And, yeah, by the time I knew that it was not, it was already too late, sadly. So, yeah, we're certainly not going to make that mistake again. We might get more spotting this time, we might not. There are far more bigger guns to be wary of. It's just, this is not a good position for this ship, it really isn't. I think, to be fair, I mean, the exact same thing can happen with the Graf Spee, but I think you've got a slightly easier time of it with the Graf Spee than you do with the Schill. Tier for tier. Oh, goody, a Smolensk. Right, AP is probably, I don't know, probably going to overpen, but we're switching to the HE because I thought I'd get to shoot at the Iowa, but... Oh, there's a Smolensk. Probably not going to do a huge amount to them. Hopefully they decide the Ruprecht is a tastier target than me, but the Iowa might decide that I'm a tastier target than the Ruprecht. Which I don't think it really has a shot on the... Okay, that missed me, fortunately. That winged me for 5k. Just under. Okay, the Smolensk actually backed off. That's interesting, rather than sit and use that smoke. This Ruprecht, I mean, they're pushing. Oh, Citadel. Yeah, probably wouldn't have gotten that with the AP unless I was lucky. Really do throw the dice with the Smolensk. Stuff just overpens so easily. They've actually helped us with that smoke ladder, but it helped them get away, but yeah. Okay, they were able to zip out the way of that. Well, I didn't give enough lead, so that's kind of on me. I was wiggling behind the island. And this Ruprecht really wants to get their secondaries going. I don't know if I'd be pushing that hard in a Ruprecht. See if we can get some fires or shots on the... yeah, on the Missouri. I think they were just desperate to get in secondary range, I guess. I don't know, but it's really not working out for them. Oh, Malta! Malta, 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 Malta. Right, do we have the range? Yes. Use all of the consumables. Come on, reload, reload, reload. I mean, I don't think we're going to get to kill the thing, but you know. If we get to damage it, that'll be damn nice. Did we hit it? Yeah, but not for a lot. Okay. And they are now going for me, which obviously I'm a big fan of. This thing does not exactly have amazing AA by any stretch, but they're now flying into the Montana's AA. I'm going to take one of these, aren't I? Well, that's not the best, but it's not the worst. Is that gonna... not really. Let's see, if I hadn't just used the reload booster, that would have been a prime opportunity maybe, but no, that Missouri's backing off anyway. Doesn't really want to get into a face-punching match with the Musashi. Okay, back to the high explosive. Just putting in some fire from the side. They're just targeting me right now, but I don't like it. It's the Missouri! Okay. That was me loading HE for the further away target where it should be. And I don't like this. I don't like this at all. What? No, now he's firing at the Montana. Montana clearly giving him a tastier target than me, which I'm okay with under the circumstances. Right, yeah, this is not huge amounts of damage. It's kind of chip damage against battleships. This thing really is a cruiser killer. For its tier, or that's what it's optimal or optimized for, rather. You're kind of struggling a little bit against more armored targets, but that really does fit the profile of this thing in real life. And the Deutschland class. That goodbye Malta, nice. I think we might have a better shot of winning this one somehow. that they were heavy surface raiders. They were meant to be able to either threaten, the kind of commerce protection ships that you would have seen, which would be smaller escorts, maybe light cruisers, and run away from the heavier stuff. Although the Deutschlands weren't actually that fast, and as we all know, they didn't have the most exemplary career as heavy raiders. I mean, they were enough of a threat in the early war that the Royal Navy certainly took them seriously, but yeah, they were nowhere near as effective as subs. I think Germany's really the only nation that sort of even conceptualized the idea of something like this. I don't think anyone else ever really tried. I mean, certainly if you're in the totally accurate historical battle simulator that is Hearts of Iron 4, you can try it yourself as a strategy, but you sort of start to understand very quickly why it's not a good strategy. Because compared to submarines, they are far more resource intensive, take far longer to build, and are far more vulnerable to interception by enemy ships. Especially also, aerial interception. So, yeah, they're not a good idea. And they sort of exemplify the many not good ideas that were had by Germany during the course of the 30s and up to the mid-40s, one might say. So, yeah. At least they never got to the stage of trying to do the naval version of the mouse. Although it certainly was planned with the H class. Oh! Battleships. Jean Bart! That was unkind. I didn't think that was one of the ships targeting me, but apparently it was. Ouch. Yeah, that turtleback, not good. It's pretty ineffective. I think the Iowa's probably going to try and want to kill me now. Yeah, the joys of being bottom tier in this matchmaking. Oh, lovely. Right, we now do have outnumbered helping me a bit, but that doesn't help my reload at all. Oh, I really wish my neighbour would stop banging away. It's very distracting. Even if it's not necessarily audible. Right, this Iowa, normally in this kind of situation, when somebody's like, oh, I'm going to get sunk, they're like generally thinking I might as well take someone with me, so they'll go for the squashiest low health target, and they kind of largely haven't been. They've been focusing on these two battleships instead. Alright, we're probably going to end up with another 60k damage game at this rate. It's a bit of a waste of a reload boost, but we're just trying to ninja that kill, really. I was 100% just trying to ninja that kill. And we do still have more of them, and I am very low health, so you can't use it if you are at the bottom of the sea, obviously. Anyway, that Jean Bart though, oh, that was nasty. Those citadels were very nasty. I mean, it was partly my fault for not paying attention to where the Jean Bart was. Right, I made the assumption that it was the things to my front that were aiming at me. And of course, at the higher tiers, battleship ranges being what they are, you can have somebody who has your broadside from half the map away and you're not necessarily aware of it. You can also see, yeah, this is not a strong heel. This is me demonstrating this in a somewhat practical fashion. It's not going to bring you back from nearly dead to half health or anything like that. I think it's the standard's like 14% per heal, so and the fact you only get 2 of them. It's not actually fewer than the Grash Bay. I can't remember offhand. I really can't. Now we're angled a little more than I would like here, but a disadvantage of this design is you kind of do have to if you want to use both your turrets, otherwise you've only got, you know, at least without Adrenaline Rush, 3 barrels fired every 20 seconds is it's not great. Although we are a little faster than that now that we do have a little bit less health than before. A little bit. Just a little bit. I'll try switching back to AP for the Smolensk. Or we could win because they went to 0 points. Okay, well, again, not exactly a lot of damage. And it does not have the survivability characteristics to get in and brawl. I mean, it might be able to against lower tiers. But, yeah, especially in this kind of matchmaking, you just have to play it so cautious. So, I mean, I like it, but I can also say it's certainly far from the most effective tier rate. It's more of a, you know, do you like the interesting bit of naval history that it's associated with, and do you think it's an interesting and different design, and etc. But it's hard to categorize it as a particularly strong ship. There are circumstances when it can be. I mean, I absolutely obliterated that Catalunya, but I got fairly well obliterated myself in the process due to unfortunate circumstances. So yeah, it can be very, very effective against unwary cruisers, but that assumes that you have unwary cruisers to face off against in a nice, limited, controlled environment, which is always not always going to be the case. So yeah. As for the other thing, of course, you can use it for it being a tier 8 operations. To be honest, it's not the most effective there either. It does have the heal, which is nice, and you can switch out the spotter for fighter, which is useful for some missions like Hermes, but it's kind of hurt by its low rate of fire there as well, especially as it's going to be a more target-rich environment. It does, at least over the Grash Bay, have that reload booster that you can use from time to time, and the cruisers and battleships do tend to go in nice straight lines for you more than anything else. So yeah, it's not bad, it's just there are far more effective ships that you can take into operations than this thing. So that is a look at the Schill, which is kind of quirky, and I like it despite its shortcomings, but it definitely has shortcomings. So yeah, if it goes on sale for some ludicrous amount of gold, I wouldn't recommend it. But you know, if you get it from as a drop from a container or something like that, it might be worth taking out for a spin if you fancy something a bit different. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can do all the usual things down underneath it, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.